Yeah, it's going to be very dangerous for those troops that are going in there. I mean, you got into Israel and you know the geography there. I mean, the Gaza Strip is a very small piece of land relative to what we're used to in Australia. So it's going to be hand-to-hand combat. It's going to be very dangerous. Hamas is still there, still active, still armed. We're just going to have to wait and see how effective this latest push is going to be, won't we?
Absolutely, Steve. And as I have pointed out before, journalists are not allowed in there. We cannot go into Gaza. Of course, it's obviously dangerous, but it's problematic too from a reporting point of view for us to see exactly what is going on there, not being fed lines from whoever is giving us, information from what is happening in there. Journalists need to be seeing these things with their own two eyes to do the reporting that's necessary. And that, for me, has been a big issue right from the beginning of this, that we cannot get in there. And the Israeli government has said that this will change. So I know that there's many reporters very keen to get in there, but also you have to be incredibly careful, Steve.
So back on your home turf, the UK, the BBC's former head of news, bloke by the name of James Harding, he's criticised the BBC, his own broadcasting organisation, for failing to describe Hamas as terrorists in its coverage of the October 7 attacks. Harding has argued journalists shouldn't censor words but use them accurately. The BBC's faced huge backlash over this failure. He's absolutely right, isn't he?
Well, he's come out very strongly on this, Steve, and they often do once they leave these organisations. They cannot speak freely like this when they're in there. And he was the boss of news at the BBC up until 2018. He's a Jewish man himself, but he has been very scathing of the BBC about this. And there's no doubt the BBC many times, especially during my time here in the UK, they have come under intense scrutiny, accused of bias towards Palestine and criticised for their coverage of the Israel-Gaza war. And this has very much been a sticking point, Steve, that they have not described Hamas as terrorists. They have said that this has been a real issue in the BBC, but they have not been doing this. And he has called this out and says it should change.
Just before you go, this High Court ruling this week to block the housing of asylum seekers in that hotel in Epping. There's apparently 32,000 migrants currently housed in hotels in the UK. So does that court ruling mean they're all going to be tipped out on the street?
Well, Steve, this is a massive issue here in the UK. This is arguably the biggest issue here right now, is the migration problem and these asylum seeker hotels. Now, a lot of these contracts at these hotels are for years. Some of them are up to 2028. But this High Court ruling has deemed that they were allowed to put these asylum seekers in there, but not legitimately, because they didn't change the reasoning for the hotel use. So now the government has got to deal with the fact they've got these asylum seekers, thousands of them, that they may have to relocate. And there's been protests all over the UK about this. This issue is not going away for Sir Keir Starmer. And he's obviously been very vocal on issues such as Ukraine, Steve, but he hasn't been as vocal on issues such as migration. And that's been a problem for the British public here, who want him to deal with issues here on the ground in the UK. And this remains to be a problem, Steve, because over 50,000 illegal migrants have come into the UK in the last year alone.
Good stuff, Sophie. Thank you very much. We'll catch up with you next week.